With the World Cup group stages over and done with, it's time for us to review every single match in every match day. Before we do that though, a quick shout out to a good friend Zealand, who has been doing watch-alongs for every single World Cup match so far. And he's going to be doing this throughout all of the knockouts as well. Zealand is doing this as part of a charity stream where all donations go toward Amnesty International for the migrant workers who built this tournament. So definitely tune into one of his streams during the knockouts. His Twitch will be in the description. But anyways, it's World Cup 2022 time, baby.
The World Cup is finally here. And it's Qatar and Uruguay. There he is.
We opened up the tournament with host Qatar vs Ecuador in Group A. This match was already mired in controversy after a tweet about match fixing from a Saudi source went viral. It turned out to be fake in the end, but it did fool many, including me. 2 minutes played though, Qatari keeper Saad Al-Sheeb made an absolute mess of a free kick and Ecuador score early on. Fortunately for the host nation, the goal was offside. But then 14 minutes played, Latri spread Qatar like jelly, and then came Al-Sheeb to make things even worse. Enter Valencia scores the penalty, 1-0 Ecuador. Qatar throughout the first half looked extremely nervous. The team could not connect more than 3 passes. It was pretty obvious that the pressure was really taking a toll on them. And they paid the price again when Enter Valencia, turning back the clock, scored his second in the 30th minute. Ecuador went on to win this one 2-0, a great way to start their campaign. On the other hand, Qatar becomes the first host to ever lose their opener. The next day we had 3 matches, but we started out with England vs Iran in Group B. Striker Sardar Azmoun was not going to be starting for Iran as he wasn't exactly 100% yet. But things got even worse when keeper Ali Reza Bayrinvan collided heads with a teammate. Despite his nose being broken and his brain being a pinball in his head, he kept playing on after some treatment. However, minutes later, he again went down and then was finally taken off. Once things got going, however, England strolled through the Iranian defense like nothing and scored 3 in the first half. Considering how much emphasis is put on defensive tactics for Iran, this was very unlike them. But speaking of the first half, because of that earlier injury, we had over 13 minutes of added time. Bukayo Saka then added another to his account in the 62nd minute. However, Iran finally woke up from the dead and scored just 3 minutes later through Mehdi Taremi. That didn't do much though, as England scored another 2. Iran though did manage to score one of the most useless consolation goals. Senegal vs Netherlands was the other Group A match. Despite missing star winger Sadio Mane, Senegal were very much better on the ball than the Dutch. With the backline of orange not looking so ripe, there were still glimpses of dark horse energy from the Lions of Teranga. However, Senegal were still missing that edge that Mane could have provided. The football gods were also not on Senegal's side, as in the last 20 minutes, the Netherlands scored twice through Cody Gakpo in the 84th minute and Davy Klaassen in the 99th. Guys, I know we're trying to prevent time wasting here, but don't you think this is maybe just a little excessive? So with one match down for each team in Group A, Netherlands and Ecuador are currently tied at the top. They will play each other in the next match day, while Senegal and Qatar will be hoping to grab maximum points from each other. The last match of the day was USA vs Wales in Group B. The Americans were the better team throughout the first half, and their positive play was rewarded in the 35th minute through Tim Weah. Into the second half though, Wales made a pivotal change when they brought on Kiefer Moore, which in turn improved Cymru's attack significantly. And then in the 79th minute, Gareth Bale wins a penalty. He scores and Cymru save a point. As it stands in Group B, England is the only team to collect 3 out of 3 points so far. Behind them, Wales and USA are tied. Wales play Iran next and will hope to grab all 3 points, while the US play England. Argentina played Saudi Arabia in Group C, 1 p.m. Doha time, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Argentina were one of, if not the best teams going into this tournament with a 36-match unbeaten run. However, this is a World Cup in Qatar, and Saudi Arabia borders Qatar, meaning this was practically a Saudi Arabian home match. Nonetheless, the Argentinians started swimmingly and won a penalty, a pretty soft one at that. Lionel Messi converts it though, and it's 1-0 to Albiceleste. The Argentines went on to flow with the momentum as if it were a river, and Messi scores again. Actually, never mind, it's offside. Just 4 minutes later though, Lautaro Martinez slips past the Saudi backline and chips it over the keeper. Oh, that one was offside too? But nevertheless, here come the Okay, that one is quite obviously offside. Needless to say, Argentina were actually struggling against Saudi Arabia's high line. This tactic though was conjured up by the genius of the great Hervé Renard.
Today I feel gay.
Either way though, at the break, the Argentinians were still 1-0 up. But just 2 minutes into the second half, Salah El-Sheri sends Christian Romero to anti-ends and scores an unlikely equalizer for the Saudis. Then 5 minutes later, Salem Al-Dossari created an even larger moment of World Cup magic. Now absolutely flabbergasted, the Argentinians all of a sudden found themselves desperate for a goal. But no matter what they tried, the Saudi defense or their keeper, Mohamed Al-Owais, had an answer. And so, in one of the biggest shocks of the tournament, Saudi Arabia defeats Argentina 2-1. Saudis across the world, rejoice.
말 그대로 루사일의 기적이었습니다. 극적인 승리를 차지한 사우디 팬들은 경기가 끝나고도 기쁨을 만끽했습니다.
Man, what a fantastic way to start the morning. I sure can't wait for the next matches. Okay, in all fairness, Tunisia-Denmark in Group C was at least interesting to watch. The Tunisian fans were loud and exciting, and you also had Aissa Laidouni basically amplifying that. Also, Denmark was extremely unlucky not to score in this game. But Mexico-Poland in Group C? There was nothing redeemable about that match. I would have rather watched Man of Steel, Suicide Squad, and Morbius 16 times in a row than watch whatever visual aids I had to endure. But hey, at least we got to see Guillermo Ochoa save a Lewandowski penalty, so, you know, at least there's that.
Polonia, aquí viene México. ¿Harían algún cambio ustedes?
No, ahorita no.
If you told someone during the initial draws that Saudi Arabia would find themselves top of Group C after Matchday 1, you'd probably be sent to the nearest psychiatric ward. But here they are, proving pretty much 95% of the world wrong. The last match of the third day was France vs Australia in Group D. Australia entering this World Cup was like a college kid hopping over the fence to sneak into a frat party. France, on the other hand, however, are the reigning champions. But over the last few months, they've suffered quite a lot. In fact, right before the start of the tournament, Ballon d'Or winner Karim Benzema was deemed out. So with everything seemingly going wrong, Matthew Leckie delivers a pinpoint cross to Craig Goodwin, who sends it into the roof of the net. Australia, in just 8 minutes, were shocking the world champions. The World Cup curse prophecy continues. Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Group D has your reigning champions still atop. Tunisia and Denmark are 2 points behind them. Denmark play France next, while Tunisia play the Socceroos. On day 4, we kicked off with Morocco vs Croatia in Group F. Both teams had their opportunities, but in the end, the game ended 0-0. Although, massive credit to both backlines, especially Morocco's. Germany vs Japan in Group E was next, and this was a match that I personally had my eye on for a long time. The Germans went right at Japan's necks with numerous attempts. However, the Japanese did well to hold off the German offensive. But then 30 minutes played, keeper Shuichi Gonda decided to get a little up close and personal with Tim Raun. Gundogan converts the penalty, 1-0 Germany. Jamal Musiala and the gang were endlessly trying to find that second goal, but they could just never break down the Japanese defense. And then to start the second half, Hajime Moriyasu subbed on Takehiro Tomogotsu for an underwhelming Takafusa Kubo. But Moriyasu ball wasn't done there. The coach later brought on both Kaoru Mitoma and Takuma Asano in the 57th minute. This was the turning point for the Japanese. While Gonda was in his redemption arc, Japan found their equalizer. It's alright though, because Kaoru Mitoma is that guy as he slithers around, sends it to Minamino, whose shot is safe, but Ritsu Doan is there to make it level with just 15 minutes left. And just when you think Japan weren't done cooking, the other sub, Takuma Asano, turns Manuel Neuer into some fresh fucking sashimi. Final score Japan 2, Germany 1. This is Asia's World Cup, damn it.
Bravo! Bravo!
Spain vs Costa Rica in Group E followed, and this match was not even close. I mean, I expected Spain to win considering they were basically playing the 2014 Costa Rican team in 2022, but Jesus. Group E is very interesting. Spain are leaders with an overwhelming goal difference. But with Japan beating Germany and their next opponents being an absolutely awful Costa Rican side, this poses a massive problem for the Germans who face Spain next. Group F then had their second match, and that was Canada versus Belgium. This was the golden generation running against the clock versus a new golden generation hoping to rewrite basically all of Canadian soccer history. I can assure you though, John Herdman's Canadians were no maple syrup merchant. patience. After minutes of domination, Canada was awarded a penalty in the 7th minute. Here was the moment. Alphonso Davies, with one kick, could finally erase every single memory of pain and anguish that has plagued Canadian football for the last 30 years. Despite a slight dent in morale, Les Rouges did not let it faze them one bit. The young guns were bullying the elders and showing us once again that FIFA should be tried alone for its ranking throughout the last 7 years. The Canadians also should have had 2 other penalties called. Unfortunately though, they had a ref that tried to end an AFCON match twice before 90 minutes. This only happened a year ago. However, despite their high pressing overwhelming the Belgians, the Canadians could never convert their chances. And oh, can the football gods be so merciless sometimes? Throughout the second half, the Canadians continued to dominate, but again had a worse conversion rate than the Vietnamese Dong. With that, Belgium somehow escaped with all 3 points. Group F, as it stands, has Belgium as group leaders. Just below them are their next opponents Morocco and Croatia, while Canada unluckily find themselves bottom facing Croatia next. Day 5 provided us some early vibes from the Cameroonians before their match against the Swiss in Group G. They were also throwing the most jabs in the first half despite the odds. Unfortunately, a fellow Cameroonian on the other team, Breel Mbolo, scored the only goal of the match. This has got to be some kind of form of colonialism, right? Group H opened up with Uruguay versus South Korea. Despite the massive gap in quality, South Korea's direct play was actually posing some problems for the Uruguayans. On the other hand, the Uruguayans got extremely close to scoring on multiple occasions. However, they were either stopped in their tracks by the post or the indomitable Maqwell. Portugal vs Ghana was the other Group H matchup. The first half could put you to sleep, but the second half was much more exciting. 61 minutes played, Ronaldo blatantly dives and wins Portugal a penalty. However, just 10 minutes later, Andre Ayew stuns the pragmatic Portuguese and scores for Ghana. João Felix spoils the party just 5 minutes later, and then Rafael Leao makes it 3-1 just 2 minutes later. However, in the 89th minute, Osman Bukhari says not just yet and keeps the Ghanaians in the match. Dog, why are you doing a Sioux celebration at 3-2 down? Ghana then got very close to saving a point after one of their players tried to pull a Jose Alvarado. But in the end, the match ended 3-2 to Portugal. Group H has Portugal on top with South Korea and Uruguay following. Uruguay play Portugal next, while South Korea play a Ghanaian side you should not doubt. The last game of the match day was one of the more interesting ones. Serbia versus Brazil in Group G. Brazil going into this tournament are arguably the #1 favorites, but Serbia are seen as a major dark horse pick, especially with that striking force they have. The first half saw Brazil having a lot of the ball, but the Serbian defense was taking notes from the Maqwell. However, in the second half, Brazil finally broke through with Richarlison in the 62nd minute. But the Peacock wasn't done. Just 11 minutes later, he scored a spectacular acrobatic goal. Scenes of Joga Bonito as Brazil went on to win 2-0. It does come with a price though, as Neymar came off injured and will miss the next 2 matches. Group G sees Brazil in first. Their next opponent, Switzerland, is right behind them in second, while Cameroon and Serbia will hope to bounce back in their next fixture against each other. Matchday 2 began with Iran vs Wales in Group B. Iran had just come off being absolutely terrible against England, losing 6-2, and with their own government officials severely criticizing them for not singing the national anthem, the team morale was very low. But after an early Welsh chance, it really didn't seem that way, as Iran dominated this match. The Welsh defense couldn't do anything about it, but luckily their friend the Post helped them quite a bit. Finally though, after numerous attempts and Wayne Hennessy being off the Hennessy, Rouzbeh Cheshmi scores an absolute banger in the 98th minute. Just 2 minutes later, Iran cap off an incredibly emotional win to keep their World Cup hopes alive. 2-0 to the Iranians, who jump into second, while Welsh fans will be severely disappointed with their performance.
Guys, sorry, live on Sky News. Your reaction to the win?
We lost.
Reaction to the loss?
Qatar vs Senegal followed in Group B, with both teams wanting all 3 points. Qatar, in their quest to do so, replaced Saad Al-Sheeb with Michel Barsha. That didn't change much though, as Senegal scored 2 goals through Boulaye Dia and Famara Diédhiou. Qatar did finally end the long wait and scored their first ever World Cup goal. The Qataris were also creating history with their shambolic defending. So Senegal, after being FM'd in their previous fixture, bounced back and keep their hopes alive. The other match in Group A followed, a top-of-the-group clash between the Netherlands and Ecuador. Cody Gakpo started the match in fantastic fashion with an absolute firecracker, his second goal of the tournament. Maybe now we can actually consider the Dutch as prime dark horse picks. Think again. The Ecuadorians were burning the Dutch midfield, getting closer and closer to an equalizer. They had one goal called off right before the half, however that didn't matter after Enner Valencia scored his third of the tournament in the 48th minute. In the end, the match ends in a draw, with the Netherlands escaping with the point, having been outshot 15-2. Although with both teams earning 1 point each, this result eliminates Qatar. With one more match remaining, the Dutch and Ecuadorians still find themselves at the top, but inching closer is Senegal, who play second placed Ecuador next. USA England in Group B had all the hype and toxicity you could have ever imagined, and this all resulted in, as I predicted, an extremely boring outing for any neutral. Group B is getting real interesting. Every team is still in it by at least a thread. England sit atop and can win the group if they beat Wales. Iran, having looked down and out all of a sudden, now find themselves second thanks to the US drawing again. The two will face each other to determine who goes through. Wales still have a chance, but it's extremely slim. Group D kicked off their second match day the next day with Tunisia versus Australia. Tunisia managed a huge point against Denmark, while the Australians were gutted by the French. But all memories of the Aussies' last match were erased when Mitchell Duke headed one home in the 22nd minute. Yusuf Msakni and Tunisia then started their assaults, however the Aussie backline were unbreakable, with goalkeeper Matt Ryan having 4 saves. The Socceroos somehow win 1-0 as cities across Australia erupted in limbs. Poland versus Saudi Arabia in Group C was next. Poland still have a point to prove after looking absolutely awful against Mexico, while Saudi Arabia, after defeating Argentina, were hoping to get another win and seal the deal and go on to the next round. And the Saudis were the better team throughout the first half. However, it would be the Polish to draw first blood through Piotr Zielinski in the 39th minute. Nonetheless, Saudi Arabia won a penalty just minutes later. Unfortunately though, the attempt was saved. The Saudi Arabians continued though, as they were playing tantalizing football, but a familiar foe called finishing started to haunt them again. If that wasn't enough punishment, a mistake in the defense led to a second Polish goal. Robert Lewandowski scores his first ever World Cup goal, and the Polish need just a point against Argentina to advance. France versus Denmark would complete Group D's second matches. France of course blew out the Australians and were hoping to finally end the World Cup curse, while a draw against the Tunisians had set the Danes back. The first half saw both teams having good opportunities, although it wouldn't be until the 60th minute that Kylian Mbappe would give France the lead. But just 7 minutes later, the Danish reply through Andreas Christensen. The two teams continued throwing jabs at each other, and then in the 85th minute, Antoine Griezmann delivers a beauty to Kylian Mbappe, who sends it home. And he also sends France to the next round, which means the curse is officially dead. Group D, after 2 games, has the French in a prime position to win the group. Australia are surprising everyone and proving they actually do belong in the tournament. If they manage a win or draw in their last match against the Danish, they're into the next round. Denmark have not been the dark horses everyone expected them to be, but a win saves them from the well of elimination. Tunisia are still in the running, but they have to beat the French and hope Australia and Denmark ends in a draw. Argentina versus Mexico in Group C ended off the day. The Argentines were hoping to bounce back after a shock loss to the Saudis, while Mexico, backed by the entirety of Brazil, were hoping to knock down Argentina finally. The first half was extremely physical, with Mexico looking pretty lively while the Argentinians were looking like absolute frauds. However, the Albiceleste woke up from their slumber with that man again, Lionel Messi, coming up with pure magic in the 64th minute. 20 minutes later, Enzo Fernandez tucks Mexico into bed and Argentina take all 3 points. Group C, with 1 match remaining, could see chaos in the third match day. Poland sit on top and play Argentina next. A win or draw sees Poland go through. Argentina need at least a point, but a win confirms them a place in the last 16. Saudi Arabia play the underwhelming attackers of Mexico next, and if they win, they're in. Last place Mexico will need to win but have other things go their way. If Poland win, they're in. But if Argentina wins, it all depends on how large the victory and how many goals Poland scores. A draw between Argentina and Poland sees Mexico having to score 4 or more goals. Japan, having defeated Germany, did the hard part in their mission of making it to the last 16. So with the win against Costa Rica, they'd confirmed their spot.
Yes, you're a queen.
Belgium versus Morocco in Group F was next. Belgium, in their previous match, had just barely escaped the Canadians. But now to add on top of that, their best player, Kevin De Bruyne, pretty much said, "We're too old, and we're not winning this tournament."
Ahora estamos jodidos.
Morocco, having performed very well defensively against Croatia, were hoping to take advantage of the Belgian show. The Atlas Lions did just that, with Hakim Ziyech absolutely bawling out in this match. Then 72 minutes played, Abdelhamed Sabiri catches Courtois off guard, with Roman Saiss tapping it home. 92 minutes played, the Moroccans steal the walkers of the Belgian elders as Hakim Ziyech squares it to substitute Zakaria Aboukal. And that's the match, a historic 2-0 victory for the Moroccans. Croatia vs Canada in Group F followed. Canada were still looking for their first ever World Cup goal, while the Croatians were hoping to acquire all 3 points after being held to a draw by the Moroccans. They also were hoping to peg coach John Herdman down a notch after his comments about them. Just 1 minute into the match though, Tajon Buchanan delivers Amazon Prime right at the head of Alphonso Davies, and finally Canada score a goal in the World Cup. But hold your maple syrup, Canadians, because it appears the team forgot the whole concept of defending. Croatia win convincingly 4-1 with Luka Modric not looking like he's aged one bit. And Canada are now the second team eliminated from the tournament. Group F is very tight with 1 match left. Croatia and Morocco are tied with Croatia just above thanks to goal difference, while Belgium sit third 1 point below the two. Croatia and Belgium play each other next, so Croatia advance with a win or draw, while Belgium advance with a win. Belgium can also advance with a draw if Morocco loses badly to Canada. Morocco, of course, are playing the Canadians, and while Canada sit bottom, they will want to grab their first ever points. But simply with a win or draw, Morocco go through. Spain vs Germany in Group B was probably the one match that many people were looking forward to before the tournament even started. The last time the two had played each other in the World Cup, it was 2010, when Carlos Puyol scored in the semi-final. The Germans, though, needed a result in this match, otherwise their World Cup hopes would be in severe trouble. Spain, as you'd expect though, would hog much of the possession, but both teams had an equal amount of opportunities. Antonio Rudiger, 5 minutes before the half, thought he scored for the Germans, but VAR said no. The Germans get another great opportunity in the second half, but it would be the Spaniards who broke the deadlock in the 61st minute. This only motivated the Germans more though. After even more attempts, it would be Werder Bremen's Niklas Füllkrug to score the equalizer in the 82nd minute. The match would go on to end 1-1, a battle of possession with a lack of finishing. Nothing new from either team. Group F is yet another interesting one going into the last match day. Spain sit top with 4 points and a goal difference that will help them a lot. Japan really fumbled the bag though against Costa Rica. They hold second and will hope that a draw will be enough because they play Spain next. Costa Rica played Germany, and whoever wins that match has a good chance of advancing. The last day of match day 2 provided us with first Cameroon vs Serbia in Group G, and before the match the Cameroonian FA decided to send Andre Onana back on the plane for disciplinary reasons. Now, you might think I'm crazy, but I mean this with all my heart. This was one of the best matches of the tournament so far. 29 minutes played, the Cameroonians strike first through Jean-Charles Castelletto at the back post. Serbia, though, replies not once, but twice right before the end of the half. Alexander Mitrovic then adds a third in the 52nd minute. But what's this? Could it be? It's Vincent Aboubakar from the top rope. And here he comes marauding forward again in the 66th minute. He squares it to Eric Choupo-Moting, who sends a shockwave throughout the group. The hero of Paris Saint-Germain and Cameroon has done it again, and now Eto'o has a 2% chance of being correct. We follow that insane match with another, South Korea vs Ghana in Group H. South Korea played really well against Uruguay and earned a valuable point, while Ghana still have something to prove after letting a point slip from their grasp. 23 minutes played, Mohamed Salisu breaches the indomitable Kim Wall and Ghana have an early lead. 10 minutes later, and Mohamed Kudus adds to Ghana's lead. However, in the 58th minute, Seo Gui-sung gives South Korea a lifeline. And then here comes Seo again out of absolutely nowhere to make it all level. Now, one quick side note. I knew from the very moment that when Seo Gui-sung appeared on that pitch, women across the world would fall in love. But Mohamed Kudus, he doesn't care about you simps, as he restores Ghana's lead in the 67th minute. South Korea couldn't come back from that one, and Ghana achieved a massive victory. Group G closed off their second match day with Brazil vs Switzerland. Both teams managed wins in their last matches and would battle it out for the top of the group. In the end, it would be Brazil who would acquire a late goal thanks to a beautiful Casemiro volley. With that win, Brazil are into the next round. Group G, as it stands, has Brazil winning. Switzerland is below in second place, and they play Serbia next. The Swiss need either a draw or a win, while Serbia need to win to advance. Cameroon are still in it as the final day looms. They play Brazil next though, so I wouldn't say their chances are very high. Finally, to cap off match day 2, we had Portugal versus Uruguay in Group H. The two met before in the last 16 4 years ago, where Uruguay won. Portugal, though, having been victorious against Ghana, needed just another win to advance to the next round. Uruguay, though, wouldn't make that easy, as they still had a point to prove. The first half's best chance went to Rodrigo Bentancur, who snuck his way through two defenders, but unfortunately couldn't put the cherry on top. The Portuguese in the second half, however, were starting to take control. 54 minutes played, Bruno Fernandes dishes a beauty to Cristiano Ronaldo, who scores. Wait, no, it was actually Bruno who scored. That goal, though, finally got Uruguay's attack to do something for once, but again they failed to score. Then the 87th minute, Portugal win a controversial penalty, and goal Cristiano Ronaldo, sorry, I meant Bruno Fernandes. And so, Portugal confirm a spot in the next round with a 2-0 win. Player of the match? This guy. Group H still has one spot remaining with Portugal at the top currently. Ghana is second and will play Uruguay in their last game, and we all know what happened last time they played. If Ghana win, though, they're in. If Uruguay wins, however, they're more than likely in. However, they are one of the 3 teams that still has yet to score a goal. South Korea are still in it, but they have to face a Portuguese side that actually look good at the moment. But maybe Cho's good looks will result in fangirls attacking the Portuguese players for his love. I don't know. But if you go back to 2002, South Korea actually beat Portugal, and this was a very good Portuguese side. That match was also on the last match day, which resulted in South Korea advancing to the next round. Group A started the matchday 3 doubleheaders. Cody Gakpo and Frankie de Jong's goals against Qatar won the group for the Netherlands, meaning there was only one spot remaining, with Ecuador versus Senegal deciding it. The Senegalese peppered the Ecuadorian goal throughout the first half and eventually won a penalty, which was converted by Ismail Assar in the 44th minute. 1-0 Senegal, meaning if this result stood, Senegal would be going through. However, there'd be another layer to this story, as in the 67th minute, Moises Caicedo is left wide open at the back post. Now with the results all level again, Ecuador would be going through. 2 minutes later, Senegal has a free kick, and Ener Valencia picks out Kalidou Koulibaly, who scores the game winner and sends Senegal to the last 16. No more pain for the Lions of Teranga as they finish runners-up in the group. However, heartbreak for the Ecuadorians, who played really well. Although they failed to make it out of the groups, their performances show a bright future ahead. And Qatar? Group B was later that day. Wales, having bunkered down against the English, did well to hold them to no goals in the first half. Marcus Rashford in the 50th minute, though, said, "Enough nonsense," and fired a rocket of a free kick into the back of the net. The Welsh then collapsed and conceded another goal just a minute later. Danny Ward, then sealed a 3-0 victory for the 3 Lions, who win the group as a result. USA-Iran, prior to the tournament, had a lot of geopolitical conflicts between the two, and it only got worse when the US social media team posted this. In the match, however, after a dominant first half, Christian Pulisic would sacrifice his nuts to give the Stars and Stripes an early lead. Things got a bit shaky in the second half for the Americans, but in the end they prevailed and won 1-0, meaning they advance as runners-up to the next round. England win Group B and will play Group A runners-up Senegal in the last 16, while the US just edge into the next round and will play Group A winners Netherlands. Iran again failed to make it out of the groups after putting up an incredible fight. Wales, on the other hand, end the tournament in disappointment, having scored just 1 goal. The Group D doubleheaders occurred the very next day. However, before that, the Vietnamese national team had defeated Borussia Dortmund. We are massive. Anyways, France already had a spot in the last 16, so they decided to play the B team against Tunisia. However, the Tunisians still had a chance of going through and immediately took advantage in the 7th minute. Unfortunately, the goal was offside. They continued to be persistent though, and then in the 58th minute, Wabi Kazri goes on a stroll between the French lines and scores a beautiful solo goal. Afterward, Didier Deschamps sends on the Avengers, and immediately France get to work. Antoine Griezmann then scores the equalizer in the 98th minute, ending his scoring drought, and the match ends in a 1-all draw. But wait 1 second, they call it off, and that now means Tunisia have won the match 1-0. While that shit show was happening, Australia versus Denmark were playing each other. Australia, who currently were holding on to the remaining spot, needed to beat the Danish to go through. In order for the Danish to go through, they'd need to win the match as well. But if the match were to end in a draw, Tunisia's win would send them through. From the get-go, the Danish were urgent in their ways throughout the first 45 minutes, but the Aussie defense did well to keep them from scoring. And here comes Straya, 60 minutes played. Matthew Leckie on the counter gives us a little 2014 James Rodriguez shimmy shimmy, and again, the Australians are shocking the world. From there, the Australian backline, led by Harry Sutar, keeps the Danes at bay, and Australia win again. Even though there were so many questions about Australia, even though many considered them the worst team coming into this tournament, as the late Johnny Warren would say to any detractors, I told you so.
Melbourne is on fire at 3:20 in the morning on a Thursday because of this team, this sport, this tournament.
So this is how Group D finishes. France win the group while Australia shock everyone and advance as runners-up. Tunisia finish third and end off their campaign with a memorable win against the French, while Denmark, who many considered a dark horse, including me, crash out finishing last in their group. Group C's matches would end off the day. The table after 2 games had each nation still with everything to play for. The last matches would see Poland vs Argentina and Mexico vs Saudi Arabia. Mexico threw jab after jab like Canelo if he ever saw Lionel Messi, but just like the last 2 games, no one could actually score for Eltree. In the other game, Argentina was constantly knocking at the door of Poland, but fortunately for the Poles, the Mexican spirits lended San Memo's powers to Wojciech Szczesny. However, in the 35th minute, the officials called yet another soft Argentinian penalty, but Szczesny wasn't having any of it. Szczesny in the first half made 7 saves. Unfortunately for Wojciech, even with 100% of San Memo's energy and soul, he wouldn't be able to save the nation from its non-existent defending. As it stands now, Argentina would be winning the group while Poland advance as runners-up. Going back to the Mexico vs Saudi Arabia match in the second half though, and alas, in the 46th minute, Mexico finally score a goal in this tournament. 6 minutes later, they score again, and it's Henry Martin with an absolute belter of a free kick. 2-0 to Mexico, but as it stands, it is still Argentina and Poland going through. But what's this? Argentina have scored again in the 66th minute through Julian Alvarez, meaning now Poland and Mexico are tied not only on points, but now goal differential and goals scored, which now means we have to go even further down the iceberg of tiebreakers. Poland and Mexico drew against each other, meaning also their goal difference between one another is the same. So now we go to the 7th tiebreaker, FIFA Fair Play points, which penalizes a team for each booking they receive. A yellow card takes away 1 point, a second yellow card takes away 3 points, and a direct red card takes away 4. Mexico at that time had 7 yellow cards, while Poland only had 4, meaning Poland, based off the current results, would be advancing. So with that news, the Mexicans were in urgent need of a 3rd goal, while the Polish were holding on for dear life against Argentina. And then came the moment for Eltree. 86 minutes played, substitute Uriel Antuna scores a 3rd goal to send Mexico to the next Oh, that's a bit unfortunate. Selim Al-Dosri then hit play on the Sad Boy Hours playlist for Mexico, as sales of tequila could be seen spiking up to 500% in the country. And so, after all that drama, Argentina progressed to the next round as group winners and will face Australia in the last 16, while Poland advance as runners-up and will live in the moment for as long as they can because the French await to maul them to bits. Mexico end up 3rd, just missing out. It's actually the first time Eltree has missed the last 16 since 1978. Finally, Saudi Arabia finished last, but can be proud of how they performed throughout this tournament. Group F's fixtures happened the very next day. Croatia sit top, but right behind them is Morocco. Belgium sit 3rd, needing a win while Canada are already eliminated. Morocco, though, jumped over Croatia just 3 minutes into their match, after Canadian keeper Milan Borjan gave Hakim Ziyech an early Christmas present. How wholesome. Then Yusuf En-Nesyri in the 22nd minute doubled the lead. Canada managed to get one back, but the game would end 2-1 to the Moroccans. Croatia vs Belgium played out a pretty uneventful first half. There was this outrageous offside call though, but with it still 0-0, Belgium needed to win in order to advance. And here he comes, the ever so clinical Romelu Lukaku to save the day. 59 minutes played, De Bruyne sends a lovely ball to Yannick Carrasco. His shot is saved, but here comes Romelu. 2 minutes later, De Bruyne squares it in the middle to Romelu Lukaku. 85 minutes played now, tensions are high, pressure is suffocating Belgium, but have no fear because Romelu, oh for f***'s sake! With Belgium failing to score and Josko Gvardiol being an absolute pest, Croatia goes through while the, according to FIFA, second ranked in the world Belgians crash out of the groups. It gets even crazier though as Morocco advanced to the next round as group winners, and deservedly so. Group E was next to come to a close. The Japanese hold on to second and will hope that a draw will be enough because they play Spain next. But more than likely they'll need to achieve a win somehow because 4th place Germany play Costa Rica and the Germans are hungry for a win. But if by the off chance Costa Rica win, we could see them go through. 10 minutes played in the Germany-Costa Rica match, Serge Gnabry gives the Germans a perfect start. 1 minute later in the other fixture, Alvaro Morata hits the target and gives the Spanish a 1-0 lead. Yeah, that was fun while it lasted, I guess. Fast forward to the beginning of the second half, Japan makes 2 changes, bringing on both Kaoru Mitoma and Ritsu Doan. And almost immediately, the Japanese start feasting as Ritsu Doan strikes again and ties it all up in the 47th minute. But there's no way they come back from behind again, right? Oh my god! Holy sh**! Blow lock is real! Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know already, Kaoru Mitoma is that f***ing guy. With Japan now 2-1 up, they jump from 3rd to 1st in the group. But you must have forgotten, there was another game happening. 57 minutes played, Costa Rica score an equalizer, and now things get real interesting in the table. Japan remain top of the group while Spain and Costa Rica are tied on points, although Spain still remain in second due to that goal difference. Nevertheless, Los Ticos continue to advance forward towards a stationary German defense and squeeze in a second goal in the 69th minute. Costa Rica now jump into second and the passing merchants are now in danger. Can your eyes believe what they are seeing? Well, you could for about 3 minutes as the Germans make a response through Kai Havertz.
He was special.
Havertz in the 85th minute scores again to take the lead, and then Niklas Füllkrug adds a 4th in the 89th minute. Great job guys, you're in 3rd. Now all you have to do is score another 5 goals in 11 minutes. Fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. Japan hold on to their 2-1 lead, and by hold on, I actually mean watch the passing merchants fail horribly to create any chances.
Where's Morata? Where's Morata? Where's Morata? Where's Morata?
But with yet another incredible result, the Japanese win Group E and will play Croatia in the last 16, hoping that this time they can reach the quarters for the first time ever.
Bravo!
Spain end up runners-up and will face Morocco in the last 16. Germany finished 3rd and for a second straight tournament, crash out. As for Costa Rica, many counted them out after a 7-0 loss, but even after, they showed incredible fight. The final day of Matchday 3 gave us the end to Group H. Portugal currently are winning the group while Ghana hope to advance in second. Ghana play Uruguay next and a Ghanaian win or draw sees them go through. Before the match though, Luis Suarez in a press conference said,
I don't say apologize about that because I take the handball, the ball, but the Ghana player missed a penalty, not me.
Oh boy, this is gonna get good. South Korea are still in it, but will have to beat Portugal to have a chance. And right off the bat, South Korea's hopes dwindle as Ricardo Horta finds the back of the net for Portugal in the 5th minute. Ghana though win a penalty in the 17th minute and miss it. Oh my god, not again. Having missed yet another penalty against Uruguay, the Uruguayans take advantage and go up 2-0 before the break. Meanwhile, South Korea are refusing to die. Kim Yong-gwon scores an equalizer in the 27th minute. One more goal and the South Koreans would advance to the last 16. With this knowledge, the Koreans throughout the match inch closer and closer. And then, in stoppage time, Son Heung-min, with the weight of the nation on his shoulders, splits 3 defenders with a killer ball to substitute Hwang Hee-chan, who sends the Koreans into absolute delirium. 2-1 South Korea that now jumps them above Uruguay in the table. Uruguay, now in danger, need to score. However, the Ghanaians, knowing their history with Uruguay, say, if we're going down, then f*** you, you're coming down with us. After an insane turn of events, Portugal top the group and South Korea advance as runners-up. Who's smiling now, bitch? And considered dark horses by many, Uruguay have been eliminated, while Ghana unfortunately finished last after placing 2nd before this match day. Finally, to close off the group stages, we had Group G. Brazil already have a spot in the last 16, so they made 9 changes in their last match. But Cameroon were out looking in. If they win and Switzerland and Serbia draw, they go through. The Brazilian attacks bombarded the Cameroonian defense, but nothing could get past goalkeeper Davis Apasi. And then came Vincent Aboubakar again to leave nothing but carnage in his wake as he scores in stoppage time. The legend then gets sent off for a second yellow card for taking his shirt off. Long live Aboubakar. Cameroon acquire a historic win against Brazil. It's the first time a team has defeated Brazil in the groups since 1998. The other match many had their eyes on was Switzerland vs Serbia, our last match of this entire video. It's pretty simple. Whoever wins this match goes on to the next round. The Swiss would draw first blood in the 19th minute as Alpine Messi Xherdan Shaqiri ends his scoring drought. But Serbia weren't gonna let 2018 happen again. 25 minutes played, Alexander Mitrovic sends a header into the far corner. Then 10 minutes later, Dusan Vlahovic with an incredible shot puts Serbia ahead. With Serbia winning 2-1 currently, they would be going through. Right before the half, however, Breel Mbolo taps one home for the Swiss, and it's all level at the break. Then at the beginning of the second half, the Swiss display football resembling that of the beautiful Swiss Alps, and Remo Freuler finds the back of the net. The Serbians could never recover from that, meaning Switzerland are the last team to advance to the last 16. Finally, we finish our last group. Brazil just win the group, and Switzerland, as mentioned before, finished runners-up. Samuel Eto'o's dream may be dead, but he can at least be very happy with the win against Brazil, while yet another dark horse finishes last in their group. Now with the groups all done, here are your round of 16 matchups. Group A winners, Netherlands, will play Group B runners-up, USA. Group C winners, Argentina, will play Group D runners-up, Australia. Group B winners, Japan, will play Group F runners-up, Croatia. Group G winners, Brazil, will play Group H runners-up, South Korea. Group D winners, France, will play Group C runners-up, Poland. Group B winners, England, will play Group A runners-up, Senegal. Group F winners, Morocco, will play Group E runners-up, Spain. And finally, Group H winners, Portugal, will play Group G runners-up, Switzerland. So that is your World Cup 2022 group stage review. Hope you enjoyed this video, because I can already tell this is going to be one fun video to edit. Of course, we'll be back for another review. That'll be the knockouts, so, you know, we got some time. In the meantime, though, a shout out to all our patrons, including Janos Balash, El Favi, Miliway009, Aldipu, Alex Rod, Ulta, Min Suamez, Araisan, Daniel Ortiz, Francisco Hernandez, iShadow Ninja, Juan Leras, Miguel Munoz, Muyandin Mintang, Return Fire, Rory Burns, Subscribe to Tenditum, The Motor Drive, Tomicus, Vanilla Mexican 17, Victor, Carlos Anaya, Chris Damasceno, David Dunn, Declan Malloy, Dominic Griffin, Emmett Shea, Lewis, Joe Aparicio, Jordan Clabett, MX Wee, Patrick Barley, President Pulisic, and Unbroken Persona. If you'd like to join the Patreon, there'll be a link down below and up in the annotations. You can follow my Twitter if you want, follow my Instagram. We're still trying to get to 10,000. That way we can do the 20 shirt giveaway, the 20 World Cup shirt giveaway. You can follow my TikTok. I guess we can go for 20K there. And of course, you can follow my semi-active Twitch, but also tune in for Zealand's watch-along Twitches streams. But until then, I'll see you guys.